Hey guys, Mistmaster1 here, and welcome back to more Kingdom Hearts Fun Mix HD Proud Level 1. Last time we had a special video, a synthesis guide on how to get everything on the synthesis list at level 1, and I haven't had that labeled as an actual episode number, like this is episode 51 and the last one was episode 50, but in the meantime there was that synthesis video I made, so if you're curious and you're wondering why I have this particular thing since last time, I will leave a quick annotation on the screen so you can go watch the synthesis video, because if you haven't watched that, you'll be a little confused. But yeah, last time we got the ultimate weapon, we got a lot of stuff from the synthesis store, we have finally finished all the grinding from Heartless in this game, but there's another side quest that I want to tackle really quick. Now that all of that has been said and done, there is one sort of division of side quests that really I've been putting off, and I haven't been sure exactly when to really go on with it. And I feel like I'm gonna start doing that now. I am gonna tease you people because I'm not gonna be using Ultimate Weapon for the next, I believe, 4 videos or so before we actually get back into super bosses, but all this time, I've never made a note of this, but if you look at the bottom of the screen right there, it says Gummy Ship Mission. If you press triangle, well, if you press it, you get this little pop-up here. Gummy Ship Missions. How to play. We already know how to play, but it goes by a little quick thing here. And, you know, it goes by little points, destroy enemies and blocks for a point, collect items for a point, destroy blue meteors for health and armor, health and, MP, or armor and power, whatever. And there are actually various missions across the game, like here, where it will give you a mission right there in the bottom right, and you have to fulfill the criteria, and if you actually clear out the missions, you get gummy parts, and if you complete every mission in every world, you will get yourself a special gummy blueprint for your efforts, and this is how we're going to start tackling this. Here we go. This is the gummy missions, and we're going to start off here. This is a very tedious quest. If you have no interest in gummy missions, then feel free to not do this, because honestly, a lot of people don't end up doing this. It is very tedious, and if you do it at late game, there's pretty much no point, since there's no other stuff to cover in gummies, but I digress. So here's what we're going to do really quick. I decided to warp drive to Wonderland off screen because, as you can see here, we have ourselves our first mission, obtain a score of 80 or higher. This is the first mission, and you will also get a little difficulty charting on the level there, 1 out of 5 stars, so this mission is extremely easy. I'm going to be handling this in post-commentary for the most part, but for the very first gummy mission, I'll go over a couple things right now. I'm going to go into the gummy garage right here, and I've edited my gummy ship a little bit. It's pretty much the same since we went to End of the World. I have 5 Thunder Gs on, I have 3 Meteor Gs on, and I have 2 Ultima Gs on. Ultima Gs and Meteor Gs being lasers, and the Thunder Gs, of course, being regular guns. What else do I want to say? There will be various other, like, there's specifications, that's the word, for certain gummy missions, but for a lot of these, that is just get the highest score. This is a pretty balanced ship where you have 5 guns, 3 lasers, and also some Asuna G. Like, nothing has really changed. I added a new cockpit, the full life G, which we got from End of the World, which will give us full ARM once it runs out, so if you run out of health, you get a second chance. Holy G. Again, nothing else has changed. Haste 2G, Osmos G, Shield 2G to protect the ship. And yeah, this is the basic ship I will be using for, I would say, like maybe a fourth of the gummy missions, because honestly, there is no specifications really needed for some of these, but I will go over really specific gummy ships when the time comes. We also have 10 little slots here where we can put new blueprints to choose from, which will be very convenient in selecting ourselves a very particular gummy ship. But now that all of that has been said and done, let's get on with it. Gonna return to the world map right here, and our goal, of course, once again, collect a score of 80 or higher, and you also get your nice little detailed bio over there on the left that tells you how many blueprints, gummy block special, shield, armor, power obstacle, enemy ships, blah blah blah, high score, total, all that stuff, and each one counts for 1 point individually. Now, in order to activate said gummy mission, all you have to do is just fly to the world that it has. And all you have to do is just fulfill the criteria, but also make it to the world to finish off the gummy mission. So really fast right here, all I'm doing, I have the Osmos G, I have all my weapons going. You see the goal is to obtain a score of 80, and I've already obtained that in the first 5 seconds. Don't go in the blue warp hole, because again, like I said just a minute ago, the idea is to make it to the world with the criteria accomplished. And you may think, if this is the sort of detail and as far as the game goes in terms of doing gummy missions, you might think to yourself, oh, that's not too bad. I could probably do this in, like, you know, especially with the Holy G and stuff like that, Haste 2G going really fast. make certain gummy missions really quick and stuff like that, we have, like, absolutely demolished the total score we need, and we've already arrived here at Traverse Town. So there we go, we got ourselves our first mission completed, that is the Wheel Gummy, and yeah, every time you do finish a gummy mission you will get rewarded, but the ultimate reward comes from finishing every single gummy mission that the world has to offer. So if we go over here now, we have obtained a score of 80 or higher, and we have obtained the Wheel G for our efforts, yeah. And for mission 2, we set off from Olympus Coliseum and collect 30 or more shield blocks, which is 2 out of 5 stars, so it's still pretty easy. This is the only one I'll be commentating live, but those are just the general guidelines. Fulfill the criteria that the mission specifies, and reach the worlds to finish off the mission. You must be alive, you have to fulfill the criteria to the extent, even if you get to the end of the mission and fail it, you have to try it all over again. And that's pretty much all the guidelines you need to know for gummy ship missions. From at this point onward, I'm going to be handling all of these in post-commentary because these missions can get really irritating to commentate, and I need to get some notes ready to really say what I want to say. But for those missions where it's just obtain a certain score, that gummy ship will be my main use. I will see you guys in post-commentary very soon. I will be signing off for now, and I'll probably be back, you know, to live commentary in the next few videos, so let's get to post-commentary. Okay, post-commentary is a go, and now let's get started on our second mission of Traverse Town, set off from Olympus Coliseum and collect 30 or more shield blocks. This really isn't too much more difficult than the first one we did. Real quick, I'm just going to show you, I've come into the gummy editor really quick, and I've made a gummy ship specifically for this. And look at it in all its glory. It is called TT2 for Traverse Town 2. It's just a full-life cockpit with some Meteor Gs, a couple Ultima Gs, some Thunder Gs, an Osmos G, and a Shield Gummy. And a Holy G with a Haste 2G to speed up the process after the fact. But yeah, a lot of the gummy ships will be looking like this in terms of just a minimalist sort of effort. So all you have to do really is just destroy all the purple blocks that are in this mission, and you will pretty much fulfill the criteria in no time flat. Do you see these purple blocks right here? Destroy those. There you go. The little yellow pellets are what you're after. Use the Osmos G to bring them in, and our goal is 30 of them. We already have 16 after just the first little area, so that's pretty nice. Coming up to this next little section, you'll see a bunch of blocks like yellow, orange, and purple, but only the purple ones will drop the shield blocks, so just focus on those. And yeah, it's that easy, honestly. We've already fulfilled a total of 50, and this is like the last real wall before the end. You need to have 30 by that point, or else you pretty much have to start the whole mission over again. Speaking of which, if you do fail the mission, all you simply have to do is just pause the game and, like, just press start, and you can go to select world, and it will put you back at the start of the gummy route that you were going to originally. And yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for the second mission of Traverse Town. Really easy. And for your efforts, you get yourself a Fang Gummy. But now this game's not screwing around anymore. Mission 3, set off from Hollow Bastion and get a score of 0 while taking no damage, and the use of Shield G and Shield 2G is prohibited. So you have yourself something really annoying here. We have a minimalist gummy ship because we can't use guns for the score of 0. We have ourselves a full life gummy, a haste 2 gummy, and a holy gummy, but we also have a transform gummy on the far right over there, and the purpose for this is I made an identical ship just as a copy for it, and the way we can do this is when you have two ships that have the transform G active, you can actually link them like this. And what's going to end up happening is you can switch between two different gummy ships during the exact same mission, and that's going to be really key in terms of getting past certain parts of this mission without taking damage, because obviously no damage, no score. You have to do this, like, minimalist. Right out of the gate, when you dock from Hollow Bastion and go to the Purple Warpole, you will be greeted by that little barricade right there. If you press the L1 button like I just did there, you can transform into another gummy ship, and since we're really not focusing on anything in particular besides getting from point A to point B, then we just have ourselves an identical gummy ship with no guns attached and all that stuff, and yeah, you pretty much just have to get through this huge amount of stuff in this entire, like, these 5 screens of gummy missions with all these obstacles and gummy ships and enemy gummy ships and all this other stuff without taking damage, and it can be pretty irritating. I would not recommend you use boosting because I only do that to speed up the process very slightly. And you'll get to this part right here, and thankfully when you go into like your little changing thing right here, you are immune to all damage until the ship is fully loaded in again, so you can kind of just get past those barriers without really worrying about taking damage there. Speaking of which, since I'm doing a boost right here, by all means, I just do another clutch transformation right there. If you feel like you're about to take damage, because you have 8 power because of the system level, or the computer level, and you can pretty much use this a total of 8 times and use them in emergencies for when you really need to not take damage and you think you're gonna get hit. Also, feel free to slow down in emergencies if you honestly feel like you're just going too fast. But there are advantages and disadvantages to having specific engines on, because going fast enough allows you to avoid chaos faster, but you also have to be more alert as to what is the main issue at the moment. Also, another note to make is that when you're in gummy missions that require you to go through warp holes, you have to make sure you go through a right particular area right there. You see I hugged the left side of the screen with the indicator there. That will tell the game that you want to go to Traverse Town, and if you go right, you go to Olympus, and that's not what we're after. And that's pretty much it. With the help of Transform Gummy, you can actually cheese this quite a bit, and it's more than doable. Although, I did fail this a couple times, so it may take you a bit. And for completing all the missions in Traverse Town, you get yourself the Moogle Gummy. And also, every time you finish a set of 3 missions in each world, you will be prompted with a little red Mickey Mouse symbol and a little complete thing to signify you have indeed finished every single mission the world has to offer. And now that Traverse Town is done, we move on to Wonderland's missions, which is the first one is obtain a score of 120 or higher. This one is pretty self-explanatory. It's like the first mission at Traverse Town. All I'm going to be doing is just using the exact same gummy mission I used in the first Traverse Town mission, so that's all you need to know. And simply put, all you need to do is just destroy enough things and collect enough things to get a score of 120. I'm going to cut this really short because I'm not going to show you the entire mission, because simply put, if you look at the score, I'm already at 120. The only thing you have to be careful about is, of course, you need to arrive at Wonderland, so just make sure you don't go into that blue warp hole. And that's pretty much it. You really don't need anything specific. If you have all the good gummy stuff, you can do this with your eyes closed. And there is the first mission. And for completing it, you get yourself a wheel gummy. Coming up next is Mission 2, which is set off for Wonderland and use 5 or more Haste G or Haste 2G blocks while taking no damage. This one might seem to be a bit iffy, but all you have to do, I'm going to use the exact same ship again. In fact, I think I used the same ship for all of these. And the only thing, I recommend you go from Deep Jungle to Wonderland just so you have enough distance, because if you go from Traverse Town to Wonderland, you might run out of distance to actually use the Haste 2G, and also you could go in the blue warp hole by accident if you're using a Haste 2G. But simply put, just use, it doesn't matter if it's a Haste or a Haste 2G, just use the thing 5 times before you get to Wonderland without taking damage. And the nice thing is that you can actually use a shield gummy block in order to make it so you can take 5 hits before you actually start taking damage. So technically, it isn't necessarily a no damage thing, as you can take damage 5 times before your armor goes down. But yeah, from Deep Jungle to Wonderland is the way to go. Use the thing 5 times, and it's as simple as that. Get yourself a Fang Gummy for your efforts. And now Mission 3, we set off from Traverse Town and collect 40 or more gummy blocks, which are the little blocks that the ships drop from, you know, like the little Heartless enemy ships do. Once again, we're using the exact same ship for the last 2. Yeah, it's kind of funny. This world requires absolutely no customization. You can probably finish it with all things in mind, you know, just with the basic gummy ship you've been using this entire game, with an Osmos G to make your life a little bit easier. So basically, strategy, you just destroy a lot of ships and use Osmos G to pick up the little light blue diamonds, the little gummy blocks that they leave behind. And honestly, you see, I'm already at 38, and that's just from the first section, and you're gonna get a few gummy ships coming up in the next section right here, and you fulfill the criteria like that, so all you really have to do now at this point is just make it to the very end of the gummy mission, and you finish it. For completing all 3 missions, you get yourself the Valafor Blueprint. I called it the Gummy Blueprint for Moogle, but it's actually a ship in itself, and there you go, that is the entirety of Wonderland's gummy missions. Following that is the Gummy Missions of Olympus, and our first mission is to obtain a score of 180 or higher, and you guys won't believe this, but the ship I'm going to be using is the same one we've been using the last 3 Gummy Missions in Wonderland. Yeah, I know there's not really any customization, but just roll with it, okay? Anyway, yeah. Again, no real customization required. Like I said at the beginning, this is a good balanced ship overall for just getting a really high score with the lasers, the Thunder Gs, the Osmos G, the Shield Gummies, the Shield 2G I should be specifying, because Shield Gummy isn't as protective as the Shield 2G, but you should have gathered that already anyway. But yeah, the score here is not really like, honestly, 80% of the gummy missions that require a specific score in order to reach really aren't that difficult until you get to, like, maybe the very end of the gummy missions. And there you go, Fang Gummy for completing the first mission. The second mission, we have to set off from Deep Jungle with only Thundara Gummy as a weapon and destroy 70 or more enemy ships. This could be a bit iffy, but simply put, take the same gummy ship we've been using for the last several missions, take all the weapons off, replace them with Thundara Gummies. You should have a total of 8 of them, and, you know, yeah, that's... You should just have 8. I don't really have anything else to say about that. Again, leaving from Deep Jungle, like, this could actually prove to be a bit of a slight problem, but not really, because as you know, the Thundara Gummies kind of skew to the diagonal sides, and, like, are kind of just really weird weapons to work with in general. But, in all honesty, this mission is still pretty simple. I mean, a total, I believe, what it was, like, 70, it said? 70 enemy ships, and you can get more than half of that in this first little section alone. In fact, you can get, I think if you actually get rid of every single ship you can find, I believe you actually have enough just from that first section. But if not, don't worry about it too much, because obviously there's a lot more than just one section to this gummy mission. Just come up to this next little part right here. We have like the green and purple and other red Rice Krispie treats. And after just a few more enemy ships show their face, you can just kill them off. Make sure you don't go in the orange warp hole, and all you have to do now is just finish the gummy mission, and it's as simple as that. That is gummy mission number 2. You get yourself a Horn G for completing it. That's an interesting name. And lastly, we have mission 3. Set off from the Traverse Town and destroy all 140 obstacles. There are hidden obstacles in this thing, and there's something very specific you need to know in order to actually succeed in this. So, for the sake of destroying objects, have a bunch of Meteor Gs on, and then, you know, have some Ultima Gs, and have a couple regular Thunder Gs as well, just so you have something that isn't MP based for your attacks. But the very important thing about this is you want to make sure that no matter what you have and what you're going to do going into this, you have yourself at least one Asuna G equipped, because these reveal hidden objects or invisible objects, and you cannot complete this gummy mission unless you have that particular gummy block on your ship, as there are hidden gummy blocks or hidden obstacles in this gummy route that cannot be found otherwise. I kind of start off a little bit slow just so you can take my word for it, but make sure you just have at least one Asuna G on you for what's going to be coming up. You'll have a bunch of ships starting off here, you know, coming from Traverse Town, of course, but I'm going to do my best not to destroy what's coming up soon and kind of just get out of the way. But if you notice, those blocks weren't there before. You see like those little blue rocks, those meteors that are just in a line before we get to the rings there? Those particular obstacles are not there unless you have the Asuna G on you. Speaking of which, make sure you get rid of all the blue meteors and the little targets that we'll be having to face off soon. Of course, don't go in the black warp hole or purple warp hole, because that's just not good. Also, make sure you have a very low-powered engine. I have the basics of the basics with the Fire G that's really slow, so you can slow yourself down for this segment here and use the lasers to destroy the obstacles. If you go too fast, then you can easily miss out on destroying all of them, as they each have varied amount of health. The purple ones go down fast, the yellow ones put up more of a fight, and the orange ones are actually pretty difficult to take down. Holding X down the entire time allows you to be at really slow speeds. Have the auto lock on for the lasers, just keep going right there, and then press triangle to initiate the attack. Take them out with a Thunder G as well if you can help it. Try not to go super spam heavy with your lasers, because you are on a sort of count with your power there, the blue bars. But as long as you're going really slow, and I guess at this part, this is the last time it really matters, you can kind of go crazy when you have a bunch of orange blocks here, because they do need a lot of damage to actually be dealt with. But if you have, at this point, you should have 116 by the end of this section. If you finish that, you should be pretty much home free, because the orange little shield blocks there are the only things that will give you any amount of trouble in this gummy mission. I know it's really tedious and slow with the whole Fire G, but trust me, you'll make your life so much easier by having a really slow gummy, like, engine just on your ship right there. Of course, have yourself some of these purple shield blocks that come out the sides above these rings here. Get yourself to 137. And the last 3 are also revealed from the Asuna G right here in the pathway. Those little meteorites that aren't there normally are revealed thanks to the help of Asuna G. And there you go, that is all 140 obstacles that are in the gummy route here, and you have completed the final mission of Olympus Coliseum. And you get yourself Poo-Poo for a reward, yeah. It's actually a little alien guy from Final Fantasy VIII if you're curious, but yeah, that's what the Poo-Poo is. And of course, now with that done, we have now finished every gummy mission that Olympus has to offer. Next up is Deep Jungle, and its first mission is to obtain a score of 200 or higher. Yup, it's another score mission, so you probably know what this means. We are going to be using the same exact gummy ship that I've been using for a majority of them so far, because it's just that good and balanced, so yeah. It seems really silly that I have to keep going over this, because I really don't. I've already explained the main principle about particular scores that you need for certain gummy missions. Don't worry, that's not going to be as simplistic for, like, it's not like every world has a basic goal that's, like, get as many points as like, get a certain amount of points and then just use whatever means necessary. They are more challenging down the line. It just so happens that the first Ring of Worlds here, and I think Agrabah does as well, it just so happens that they made it really easy for you to meet the scores. So I'm just going to run through this again really quick. You've all seen what the gummy mission looks like for this thing, but you know, it's nice to see what the gummy missions actually, like, how they look now that we have all the stuff that we didn't have beforehand when we originally went to these worlds the first time. Like, we didn't have lasers, we didn't have really powerful engines and stuff like that, so I guess it's whatever. But yeah, simply put, it's easy to get the Wheel G from this mission. Number 2 is a little interesting. Hold down the R1 button for heavy fire, set off from Agrabah and collect 10 or more special blocks. I'm not even going to show you what I used in order to set up for this mission, because it's literally the exact same thing I used in the last mission. When it says the whole thing that you should hold R1 down for heavy fire, don't listen to that, it's just a name. But really what you're after here is the special blocks, which of course you obtain from destroying the giant meteorites, or those little star-shaped objects. Make sure you have yourself an Osmos G so you can contain them from out of reach. But it's really stupid, honestly, because you only need 10 of them, and they give you more than enough in this very first section right here. So getting 10 special gummies is pretty easy. We actually have not been down the orange gummy warpole route in this entire playthrough so far, so I'm not going to bore you to death. I'm going to speed this little section up really quick, but just so you can get a general idea as to what it looks like. It's the parallel warpole, obviously, to the blue warpole that we took earlier. When you get to the little dividing point here, make sure you hold right, because that will send you over to the pathway that Deep Jungle is. And you've already seen what the whole pathway to Deep Jungle looks like, so I'm just going to speed this process up even more. But really, you're given more than enough in order to actually get the score for this, so we got double the amount required. And yeah, there we go. That is Mission 2 of Deep Jungle. Get yourself a Fang Gummy as a reward. Remember how OC had a Thundara Gummy thing? Well, this same thing kind of applies here. We use Thundagajis from Wonderland, and we have to get there and destroy 55 enemy ships in order to achieve the goal. So, like I said, it's just like the Olympus Coliseum mission where we used a bunch of Thundarajis, and instead of this time, we're going to have ourselves Thundagajis on top of our ship as our only weapon. If you have anything that is on your ship, obviously as a weapon that isn't what it specifies, then even if you finish the whole criteria of 55 gummy ships, you won't really be able to, you won't get credited for it. I really shouldn't have to say that, but it's funny because one time I accidentally had a Thunder G on without even realizing it, and I did the entire gummy mission and I didn't even get any credit for it. I just wasted like 3 minutes because I set myself up in a wrong way. So just make sure you only have Thundagajis as your weapon, and only specific weapons that the gummy mission requires, just to save yourself some time and effort. But I mean, I'm just cutting out bits and portions of the loading of the next areas. Thundagajis, of course, they shoot a little missile, and then they explode upon impact and stuff like that. We kind of went over these already, but just as a reiteration, because honestly, this weapon kind of blows, and I'm not really fond of it, but, you know, it's pretty easy to use overall. And yeah, that is literally everything I have to say. We are almost done with the gummy mission here. We only needed 55, so we're pretty much set, and there you go. That is all the missions in Deep Jungle. Get yourself Cerberus as a reward for completing Deep Jungle's missions. If you've noticed, all the blueprints are modeled after Final Fantasy themed things. Yeah, that's kind of the whole gimmick behind it. But yeah, there we go. All 3 missions of Deep Jungle, done. And last up for this video is the missions of Agrabah. First mission is obtain a score of 330 or higher. You know where I'm going with this, I don't have to specify it. Once again, using the same old good old Excalibur blueprint that we've been using this entire game to get the job done. So instead of me, for the 4th time, explaining the whole concept between, obviously, you know, the really in-depth guide in getting a score of 330 or higher, I will just go on a note saying, yes, I will be splitting the gummy missions after I finish this world up, for a couple reasons. Well, first of all, if you notice, I'm already 25 minutes into this video, and I don't want an uber long video, which is what's going to happen if I do all of the gummy missions in one video. But also, this is kind of like the last world I would consider to be relatively easy. I mean, I think there is still a few missions in the other worlds after the fact that really aren't that difficult, but there is kind of a difficulty curve starting on the next ring of worlds after we get past Agrabah. Pathway from Traverse Town to Agrabah, pretty easy, pretty fast. Gives you more than enough. I got almost double the score I needed. There you go, there's the first mission of Agrabah. Next mission of Agrabah, number 2, set off from Wonderland with only Comet G as a weapon and destroy 130 more enemy ships. So yeah, it's a similar concept to Olympus in Deep Jungle, except this time, I'm not even going to go into detail because you should know by now, but instead I've basically taken all the weapons off and replaced them with Comet G, and that's all you're going to have to do is just now destroy 130 enemy ships in order to get credit for the gummy mission and move on to the next one. Wonderland, like it said, it starts here because it's nice because you get a bunch of gummy ships right at the start here. Of course, you're going to want to use the little warp hole, the blue warp hole, to start things off with. Also, I didn't mention in the last gummy mission, but because I kind of just cut to where the world, you know, resides. But for this particular gummy mission, I believe, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, I believe I didn't cut to it specifically, but whenever you get to the little dividing point where the blue warp hole meets, because once you get to the blue warp hole end, like that gummy route, you can either go left or right, and depending on which way you go, you'll either go in the direction of Halloween Town, or you'll go in the direction of Agrabah. And in order to make sure you go to Agrabah, make sure you hold right. If I haven't explained exactly what it's like to know exactly where you should be going, look at the world map and kind of see where the world, like the blue warp, or like just the warp hole in general ends. And if you were coming from that specific direction, and you were facing the direction that kind of, you know, is represented on the map, think which way you would want to turn in accordance to where your location is on the map. Like, if you went through the blue warp hole, obviously you'd want to make a right at that little fork in the road, because to the right is Agrabah and to the left is Halloween Town from that particular instance. But yeah, 130 enemy ships, this could be a bit tricky. I mean, I didn't exactly make it with a ridiculous amount of ships to spare. I also could have done better, but just be careful because this mission could be a bit tricky. Get yourself a Horn G. And the final mission we'll do for this video is number 3 of Agrabah, the bigger the better. Collect 130 more gummy blocks, and the use of Osmos G and Drain G is prohibited. So, really, I've just used, the only difference here is I'm using the exact same Excalibur gummy, except I've taken the Osmos G, which allows us to obtain objects from afar. The whole gimmick to this mission is it wants you to be able to collect all 130, well not all 130, but just 130 gummy blocks from gummy ships, without the use of a little tool that obviously brings them to you. You actually have to aim properly, you have to destroy them in a smart position so that they're not too spread out or too close or whatever. Just that, I guess it's a little bit of an interesting take on the mission. But I mean, it's like, I don't know, a few tips that you could do, or a few tips for you that I have that you could do to make your life a little bit easier. Obviously, be a little bit slow, because if you go too fast, you're just going to speed past the gummy blocks that they drop. But also when the gummy ships are getting near you, try your best to hold off your fire until right before the very end. Like right until they get right up in your face, so that way as soon as they explode, the gummy blocks will pretty much fly right into you because they'll spawn right next to your whole gummy ship. And your gummy ship should be reasonable, should have a reasonable hitbox with all the parts you put onto it. So really, I wouldn't advise making a gigantic gummy ship, even though that's kind of what it's hinting at with the bigger the better. But, because you'll give yourself more of a hitbox in order to actually obtain the sort of gummy blocks. But, I mean, I'm using the exact same one I've been using in all the other missions, so obviously you don't need an absolute, like, beast of a gummy ship with, like, a million blocks everywhere to get the job done. Just follow those tips, blow them up when they're not super spread out. I'm honestly not doing a very good job in this recording, but that's also good to show you that you don't have to do super well in this. I missed out on, like, probably half the gummy blocks you could have obtained in this thing. And still, we're almost at that point where we're at Agrabah, and I've almost finished, like, what, 120 gummy blocks at this point? 125, yeah. So really, not too big of a deal. If you noticed as well, I actually went from Olympus Coliseum and took the orange warp hole to get to this little part right here to do this gummy mission. And in contrast to the blue warp hole where you take a right at the little dividing point, you want to make sure you take a left since it's coming from the opposite side, obviously. And there we go. A little bit clutch, only 138, but we got ourselves the Tonberry blueprint for completing all the missions in Agrabah. And that's actually going to do it for now. We have just finished the first 5 World's Gummy missions. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So, thank you for watching. I've been Mr.Master1. This has been episode 51 of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix HD Prod Level 1. And in the next episode, we will take on the rest of the gummy missions that this game has to offer. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you for the next set of gummy missions. Yes, this is a tedious process, but we'll be done soon enough. See you later.